And once I found out, it was kind of like, now I really wonder what was the real reason why I did let go. I'm still kind of curious about that, about why I got let go. And it's just been a whole roller coaster full of emotions, period. Just because, like, I spent like the last 2 seasons out of football, and for some weird reason, with the resume that I've created, I'm not getting any sniffs, no anything. So I kind of feel like I'm being blackballed, blacklisted, whatever it is, and it's kind of like taxing mentally.
I guess, what are you most impressed of or happy about?
Just the opportunity. Period. I'm happy about the opportunity that the NFL actually gave me. I don't understand why I'm still out the league, though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I don't either.
Right.
I don't either.
I'm still one of the best, and I'm still better than. I'll be a top 5 punter if I play now.
On June 22nd, 2022, Marquette King would take to his social media platforms with a message stating this: "I'm done fighting. 5th African American punter in the NFL since 1920, all pro, top 10 all-time punting average. Cheers to that, I'll take it," hinting at the possibility that he is considering retirement. Following day, on the 30th, he would post this: "It's only been 6 African American punters to play in the NFL since 1920 and earned at least 1 credited season. Over the last 3 seasons, I haven't been able to get a job, but still have a top 5 punting average. Blaming me not having a job because of my antics and attitude is surface thinking." So what we're gonna do in this video is go over the timeline of Marquette King's NFL career and look at both sides of the argument, whether if the NFL has treated him unfairly and discriminated against Marquette King, or if it's his actions that led him to being out of the NFL. We begin in the year of 2012, as Marquette King would become an undrafted rookie free agent out of Fort Valley State. Now, Marquette King originally got an offer to try out for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they would eventually go in a different direction and decided to go with punter Brian Edgar. Now, Marquette King would get a tryout from the Oakland Raiders, but he would have his struggles in his first couple of practices. The problem was that his punting style was too inconsistent, and they made him change his whole punting style. And Marquette King was told if he didn't get his technique right, they would find somebody else. Now, Marquette King wouldn't back down from the challenge and would vastly get better and would start to impress the coaching staff each and every day. King would also talk about how he would study punter Shane Lechler during camps. And he said that he was blown away at how Shane Lechler could punt the ball so far, but yet make it look so effortlessly. Now, during that time, Shane Lechler was arguably the best punter in the NFL, but during the 2012 preseason, Shane Lechler would not play much due to an injury, which meant Marquette King would get more opportunities to possibly make the NFL roster. It would all start in his very first preseason game against the Dallas Cowboys. Marquette King would say that he was super nervous about attempting his first ever punt in the NFL. And some of the staff members had told him to not look in the crowd so it wouldn't get him too nervous. But as soon as he went onto the field, the first thing he did was look into the crowd, which psyched him out a little bit while he was waiting to punt. But while he was waiting on the ball, one of the Cowboys special teams players would yell out, "They got a black quarterback, it's a fake." Now, Marquette King, that whole situation would make him calm down and it would make him laugh a little bit. And then it was time for his first ever punt.
Lechler, the Pro Bowl punter for the Raiders, out with a knee injury. He should be ready for the opener. This is Marquette King, rookie out of Fort Valley State, who just killed his first punt. The penalty marker is down, back by the kicker. What a kick by King.
Now, Marquette King would vastly get better through the preseason and impressed a lot of the coaches, and he would end up making the roster in 2012. However, he would be placed on IR. But his real test would come the following year in 2013. Shane Lechler would now become a free agent and he would sign with the Houston Texans. Now, Marquette King would have to battle for the starting punter position against the experienced NFL veteran Chris Klug. But after a 4-week battle between the two players, the Raiders would decide to go with Marquette King. and this would be his first ever year as the full-time starter. In just his first ever season starting full-time, Marquette King would lead the NFL in punting average. Fast forward to the next year in 2014, Marquette King would start to make a name for himself as he led the NFL in total punts and punting yards, which would also set records for the Raiders franchise. He was also top 5 in the NFL in punts inside the 20-yard line. Not only that, but one of the best things to ever happen to Marquette King will be on September 30th, 2014, when they would name Tony Sparano as the interim head coach. Marquette King would say he would love being coached under Tony Sparano. And the reason for this is because Coach Sparano embraced Marquette King and encouraged him to be himself, and that he liked the celebrations that he was doing and that he should express himself more. Going to the next season in 2015, Marquette King would continue to get better and would start becoming an elite punter. In that season, he would record 40 punts inside the 20-yard line, which was the second most in the NFL that year. And his longest punt that year would be 70 yards, which was top 5 that year. And now we go to the next year in 2016, when Marquette King was end up being second team All-Pro. He was third in the NFL in punting average and had 34 punts inside the 20-yard line, which would rank him top 5 in the NFL. But one of the most impressive things about that 2016 season, Marquette King would get his revenge in the best way possible on October 23rd, 2016. Marquette King would do an amazing play against the team that was supposed to make him a Jacksonville Jaguar, but instead took Brian Edgar.
And Marquette King going to run with it. He's got a shot at a first down. He has a first down and out of bounds inside the 40. This fighting stuff's going on. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Marquette King. The ball skipped back to him, and it looks like he's going to either get it blocked or get tackled. He runs around to the outside. He can run. Everybody is downfield. The two guys for Jacksonville are downfield. The two returners and the coverage guy. Nobody recognized outside the pocket. He runs for 28, 29, 30 yards down the sideline.
In his 6-year career with the Raiders, 426 punts, where 168 of those punts were inside the 20-yard line, and 65 of those would be inside the 10. Now, with all these amazing numbers, the question would be, why was he released after the 2017 season? On December 4th, 2016, in the fourth quarter with around 2 minutes left in the game, Marquette King would be penalized against the Buffalo Bills for this play right here.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, kicking team number 7. That penalty being enforced after the first down, 1st and 25.
You can't use the flag as a prop.
Well, it was really, here is the roughing the punter, which is a good call. You can see the extension there. He comes down and beneath him.
Now,
he's Corey White. This action here, totally uncalled for.
But it wouldn't stop there, because then on October 1st, 2017, Marquette King would be penalized for this play against Denver.
Jordan Taylor was wise to it.
the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the kicker number 7.
It was also rumored that that play was not designed for Marquette King to take the ball and run. But now we're going to get into the drama. January 29, 2017, Marquette King would fly out to the 2017 Pro Bowl, and he would be chilling on the sidelines of the AFC team and decided to take a picture with Aqib Talib. But the picture was Aqib Talib grabbing his chain, hinting that he was taking shots at Michael Crabtree. And everybody knows that Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib had a beef going into the last game of 2016. One of his teammates, Bruce Irvin, would reply at Marquette King months later on his socials saying this: "I can play any position, even punter, and I won't take pics with the enemy." And then would follow up to say, "Don't get your ass beat trying to impress your followers," showing that there was an issue between the players around that time. But that would not be the last time that he would throw a shot at Michael Crabtree. In a Week 17 game versus the San Diego Chargers, it was rumored rumored that Michael Crabtree chose to not play much into that game.
Does that get frustrating for you?
Yeah, I mean, because if I react, then I'm a bad guy, you know what I'm saying? Then they ask him, why he ain't on the field? You gotta ask the coach that. I do everything I'm supposed to do. Like, I done played 60 minutes every time we play. Like, game winners after game winners. Like, I do everything they asked of me. These last 2 games, I probably had three targets. But nobody's saying nothing about that, but it's all good. Like I said, I'm gonna keep working hard, man. Be me, you know?
1 week after the game, Marquette King would post on his socials, "No one should quit" during a regular season game. And it wouldn't stop there, because one of his teammates by the name of Cordell Patterson would also talk about how most of his teammates did not like him in an interview on NFL Network.
There's some low-hanging fruit going around right now about Marquette King. All right, Bruce Irvin of the Raiders has said he asked permission to be on the punt return team so he could be against Marquette King when they play Denver. What's your take on all this?
I like him, man. You know,
like Marquette?
I like him. He's a little different, no, but he's a good guy, man. People didn't like him though. He was just like
too much.
He was like kind of like a diva, but he wasn't. Like he really ain't show it that much, but like he was crazy, man. He had fun though, you know. I respect him as a person, but he did things a little different.
Now, during the 2018 season, the Raiders would decide to hire Jon Gruden as their new head coach, and Marquette King would have this interview on NFL Network.
A lot of changes up there in the Bay Area this offseason. Have you had a chance to catch up with Gruden at all?
That's the guy from Monday Night Football, okay. Not at all.
No conversations yet?
Nope.
So you guys aren't really allowed to, huh?
I think that's what the rules say.
Yeah. Are you interested, and are you looking forward to having a conversation with him and kind of seeing what that's like?
Of course. Everybody keeps saying, look, they're Chucky dolls, so I want to see if it's true.
On March 30th, 2018, Marquette King would come to the Raiders headquarters, where he had gifts for his new head coach, Jon Gruden, and special teams coordinator, Rich Bisaccia. However, he would not get the chance to meet the coach. The general manager at this time, Reggie McKenzie, would inform him that he was no longer an Oakland Raider. Now, this was heartbreaking news for the elite punter Marquette King. He would admit that he could not sleep all that night and spent most of that evening crying because how much he loved the silver and black. But after being released, Marquette King would sign with the Denver Broncos later on in that week. Now, the crazy thing about this is he would only play 4 games for the Denver Broncos. When he arrived at the Broncos practices, one of the coaches by the name of Tom McMahon wanted to change Marquette King's entire punting style and technique. Marquette King would say that this new way of punting the ball was hurting his leg, and he would end up getting hurt that offseason, and he would tell them that he did not feel comfortable kicking the ball this way and wanted to go back to his old way that he did in Oakland, which made him an elite punter. But despite all this, he decided to obey the coaches and try the new kicking style. But week 4 against the Kansas City Chiefs, Marquette King would injuring his leg and would be placed on IR on October 6, 2018. And then less than a month later, he would be released from the Denver Broncos. It also didn't help that the punter would take a shot at Jon Gruden after the week 3 game. On April 26, 2019, Marquette King would take to his social medias apologizing to the coach, Jon Gruden. Been thinking about the last couple of months, wondering why I felt a certain way about things that happened in my life. But things happen for a reason. It was things that I had to go through to prepare me for what's about to happen in my life in a positive direction. But also, I've grown from those things I felt didn't go right, that I could have done better about as far as the way I say or do things. If I offended Jon Gruden in any way, I want to own up to it and apologize and say, I'm sorry for the way I went about it. And now I look forward to doing my part in this NFL season. Marquette King. But unfortunately, he would not be signed by any NFL team in the year of 2019. Then Marquette King would upload a video on his YouTube page on the 13th of December 2019, where he talked about his great memories with the Raiders and how much he missed being with the silver and black. In 2020, Marquette King would get another opportunity to play football. However, it would not be for the NFL, and instead it would be to play in the XFL, and he would be playing on the St. Louis Battlehawks. With this fresh and new start, Marquette King would decide to document his time being with the Battlehawks on YouTube. Unfortunately, Marquette King would have another setback as he was only able to play in 5 games that year due to the XFL shutting down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Even in those 5 games, he led the XFL in punting yards. But even after his great performance in the XFL, he would not be signed by any teams in 2020. Now, there were talks about him possibly getting an opportunity to play with the Arizona Cardinals in 2021 since he was training in Arizona since 2019, but again, he would remain unsigned during that year. In October of 2021 would begin the John Gruden email controversy, and with Marquette King being frustrated on how John Gruden let him go, he would do an interview with TMZ about how he really felt about the former head coach.
I never got a chance to meet him physically. The day that I showed up to the facility to meet him and bring him a gift, and the special teams coach Richard Bisaccia, I got cut that same day, so like I never got a chance to meet him in person. And then I don't know, it's just interesting, but I never got a chance to meet him, and that's why I'm kind of like trying to figure out where do people get these personality issue things from? Like, how come it's not being addressed? Like, this isn't the real issue.
Fast forward to this year in 2022, where Marquette King is now speaking out and believes that he hasn't got a fair opportunity to find a job in the NFL due to racial discrimination, and talks about the lack of black punters in the NFL. Now, and Marquette King wasn't the only punter in the NFL that felt this way. In a matter of fact, there was another punter in the NFL who felt discriminated and felt that he was blackballed from the league, and that punter was Chris Klue. Yes, Chris Klue, the guy he was competing with Marquette King for in 2013. Now, Chris was a punter for the Minnesota Vikings who held a lot of team records for the franchise for the long years that he'd been. But in 2012, he became very vocal about same-sex marriage and the rights of the LGBT community. And after he was cut in 2013, he did not get any offers from any NFL teams, and he believes it's because he was very outspoken about the issues he was passionate about, and he has not gotten a job ever since, and said that he believes because of his politics, the NFL did not want him in the NFL anymore.
This article you wrote, and the headline is, I was an NFL player until I was fired by 2 cowards and a bigot. One of the cowards you talked about is your former head coach. The bigot, you say, is the special teams coordinator, the coach on the Minnesota Vikings. You say he said vocally to you over repeatedly what you describe as homophobic comments. At one point he said something about we should round up all the gays, send them to an island, and then nuke it until it glows. He said that you were going to hell along with the other gays. Did other teammates hear him say these things?
Yeah, there are witnesses to all the things I put in that piece on Deadspin, and you know, I made sure that I had witnesses, because otherwise that's a very easy defamation of character case, and you know, it would be pretty easy for him to prevail.
They don't have subpoena powers, so it's up to the players whether or not they want to cooperate, or whether they just want to say, well, I don't remember what this person may have said. Are you confident players will step forward and back up your account?
Yeah, I'm confident, because you know it's the right thing to do, and then also one of the things that I'm going to push for and will absolutely demand is the fact that there must be anonymity for these witnesses, because being blackballed in the NFL is a very real possibility.
Now, others can say they believe that he wasn't in the NFL because he called out Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and others and called them douchebags.
Against Peyton Manning, Vincent Jackson, Drew Brees, in regards to the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, referring to them as douchebags, and stating once again greed is the operative word. You also publicly blasted the NFL for the lockout. What was your gripe with Peyton?
So the gripe there was the fact that during the lockout, the NFLPA brought a suit, on behalf of the players, in order to say that, hey, you can't lock us out. This is illegal. And once the suit was close to being settled, once we were close to finishing the lockout, Peyton, Drew Brees, Mankins, and then Vincent Jackson, it was reported that they were asking for essentially a $10 million settlement for each of them, for having their names on the suit. And to me, I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of greedy. You're supposed to be representing everyone in the NFL.
So now, with all the information that you have, do you think that Marquette King was blackballed from the NFL and he was racially discriminated and didn't get a fair opportunity because of his color, the way that he dances on the field, and the way that he's not the traditional punter? Or do you guys believe it's because of the beef with former teammates and former coaches is the reason why that a lot of teams see him as a red flag? And let me know, did this change how you view Marquette King?